Have you ever opened your mouth to speak English and felt your voice just disappear? Not because you didn't know the words, but because you were scared of how they would sound coming out of you. Stay with me for the next few minutes, because what I'm about to say might change the way you see yourself. Let's be honest. Most of us didn't fall in love with English in a classroom. We fell into it. We were pushed into it. By school, by work, by a job interview, by a visa officer, by a group chat full of people speaking so fast we felt 3 steps behind. And somewhere in that struggle, something quiet happened. We started to feel ashamed of our own voice. We began to believe that the way we say the or the H or world or very makes us less smart, less capable, less worthy of being heard. So we got quiet. We let other people speak first. We rehearsed sentences in our heads 10 times before saying them out loud. And then we said nothing at all. We laughed a little too fast when someone corrected us just to hide the sting. We started to believe a lie, a dangerous, heavy lie. The lie is this: my accent makes me sound less intelligent. But let me ask you something. Have you ever met someone who spoke 5 languages with an accent in every single one, and you thought they were less intelligent? No. You thought they were remarkable. So why? Why do we treat ourselves so differently? Let me tell you a small story. It's not really about English, it's about something bigger. Imagine a tree. Not a tree in a perfect garden, grown by a professional gardener, watered every day, protected from wind and storms. Imagine a tree that grew on a mountain, alone, in the wind, in the cold, in dry summers and freezing winters. That tree does not grow straight. Its branches twist, its trunk bends, its bark is rough, cracked, uneven. If you put that tree next to a tree from a perfect garden, people might say, "Look how strange that one looks." But here is the truth. That twisted tree survived things the garden tree never had to face. Every bend in its trunk is a memory of a storm it lived through. Every crack in its bark is proof that it did not break. That tree is not damaged. That tree has a story. And you are that tree. Your accent is not damaged. It is not a flaw waiting to be fixed. It is a bend in your trunk made by a storm you survived. Maybe your storm was moving to a new country with 2 suitcases and a heart full of fear. Maybe your storm was learning English at 40 while working 2 jobs, while your children needed you, while your body was tired and your mind was tireder. Maybe your storm was being laughed at once, just once, and carrying that moment for 10 years. Every one of those storms shaped the way you speak today. So when someone hears your accent, they are not just hearing mistakes. They are hearing your mother tongue, your childhood streets, your grandmother's voice, your first home, your courage to leave or to stay and grow anyway. They are hearing your story. And a story is not something to hide. Now let's talk about comparison. Because comparison is where most of us get stuck. We hear a native speaker on YouTube, smooth and fast and effortless, and we compare our slow, careful sentences to their fluent ones. We compare our beginning to their years and years of practice. This is like comparing a seed to a tree and feeling ashamed that the seed is not tall yet. Of course it isn't. It just started growing. You are not behind that person. You are simply earlier in your own journey, that's all. Not less. Not slower in some shameful way, just earlier. And here is something important. The native speaker you're comparing yourself to, they can only speak 1 language fluently. You are learning to speak 2, maybe 3. Think about that for a moment. You are literally building a second brain inside your brain. A second way of thinking, a second door into the world. That is not weakness. That is one of the hardest, bravest things a human being can do. Let's talk about fear for a second. Because fear is the real reason many of us stay silent, not lack of knowledge. You know more English than you think you do, I promise you. But fear tells you, what if I say it wrong? What if they laugh? What if I sound stupid? So fear convinces you to stay quiet, and staying quiet feels safe. But here's the truth about safety. Safety doesn't grow you. Safety keeps you exactly where you are. Growth needs a little discomfort. Growth needs you to speak the sentence even when your hands feel a little sweaty. Growth needs you to send the voice message even when you want to delete it and type instead. Think of fear like a doorway. On this side of the door, it's comfortable, quiet, familiar. Nothing bad happens here, but nothing new happens here either. On the other side of that door is the life you actually want. The job interview you get, the friend you make, the conversation where someone really understands you, the confidence you've been chasing for years. The door is not locked. Fear just makes it look heavier than it is. And every single time you speak, even with mistakes, even with your accent, you are pushing that door open just a little more. So how do we actually move forward? Not with pressure, not with perfectionism, with two simple shifts. Shift 1. Stop chasing perfect, start chasing clear. Perfect English does not exist, not even for native speakers. People from different regions of the same country don't even speak the same way. Someone from the north sounds different from someone in the south. Someone from the city sounds different from someone from the countryside. So if perfect doesn't exist even among native speakers, why are we chasing it? Chase clarity instead. Can the other person understand you? That's the real goal. Not sounding like someone else, being understood as yourself. Shift 2. See mistakes as proof of effort, not proof of failure. Every mistake you make while speaking is not evidence that you're bad at English. It's evidence that you tried, that you showed up, that you didn't stay silent. Babies fall down hundreds of times before they walk. We don't call a baby bad at walking, we call it normal. We call it learning. Give yourself that same kindness. A mistake is not the end of your story. It's a sentence in the middle of it. And the story keeps going. Here's something people don't tell you about confidence. Confidence is not the absence of an accent. Confidence is not sounding native. Confidence is speaking anyway, accent and all. Confidence is a woman ordering coffee in her second language, stumbling a little on the word medium, and still smiling, still finishing her sentence, still getting her coffee. Confidence is a man in a job interview saying, I am understanding this project instead of, I understand this project. And still explaining his skills with pride because his skills are real, no matter how the grammar comes out. Confidence is not perfection. Confidence is presence. It's choosing to stay in the room, in the conversation, in the moment, instead of shrinking and disappearing into silence. And every time you choose to stay and speak, you're not just practicing English, you're practicing believing in yourself. Now let's talk about the second half of our theme, the part we don't want you to forget. Your worth was never your English level. You were valuable before you knew a single word of it. You will be valuable after you master it. Your worth is not sitting inside your grammar score or your pronunciation. But, and this is important, your English can still change your life. It can open doors, new jobs, new friendships, new cities, new confidence, new versions of yourself that you haven't met yet. So we hold both truths at the same time. You are already enough, exactly as you are, accent and all. And learning English can still make your life bigger, richer, wider. These two things are not in conflict. They work together. You don't need to fix yourself to deserve those doors. You already deserve them. But walking through those doors, that takes practice. That takes speaking, that takes showing up again and again, even when it feels uncomfortable. Your worth opens the door. Your practice walks you through it. There will be days when someone doesn't understand you the first time, and you'll feel that familiar heat rise in your chest, that old shame trying to come back. On those days, remember this: you are not the only one. Every single person who ever learned a new language felt exactly what you're feeling right now. Every immigrant, every student, every worker far from home, every person building a new life in new words. You are part of a huge, quiet, brave community. People all over the world opening their mouths every day in a language that isn't their first and trying anyway. That is not weakness. That is one of the strongest things a person can do. So on the hard days, be gentle with yourself the way you'd be gentle with a friend who was learning something new and difficult. You wouldn't laugh at a friend for trying. Don't laugh at yourself either. So here we are, at the end of this story. But really, it's the beginning of yours. Let's remember what we talked about. Your accent is not a flaw. It's a map of everywhere you've been. Your mistakes are not failures. They're footprints showing that you're moving forward. Your comparison to others was never a fair measurement. You are early in your journey, not behind in it. And your worth was never, ever tied to your English. You are not behind. You are becoming. Becoming someone who speaks up even with a shaking voice. Becoming someone who tries even when it's uncomfortable. Becoming someone whose story is written not just in one language, but in 2 or 3 or more. That is rare. That is brave. That is yours. So today, I want you to do one small thing. Don't try to speak perfectly. Don't wait until you feel ready, because ready never really comes on its own. You create it by acting. Just speak one sentence out loud to someone today. It can be simple. Hello, how are you? I'm learning English. Can you help me, please? One sentence. Let your accent be there. Let it sound like you, because it is you. Say it anyway. Because every big journey, every fluent speaker you admire, every confident voice you've ever heard, they all started exactly where you are right now, with one sentence, spoken anyway. So go on, speak one sentence, just one. Your story is worth hearing.